I'm sure after getting connected with the Evo family, you definitely have got the chance to know about Thor, the Asgardian God of Thunder. Did I hear someone saying no to this? Oh. Well, if that's the case, then don't you worry, because he's back again in our house. But this time, we won't be discussing his life, but we will be looking an inch forward to his collection of weapons that he used to keep in check every villain whom he faced. This is going to be so interesting. All the highly equipped weapons that no one knows are going to get revealed here. So, stay till the end to get a step closer to knowing everything about Thor's weapons.
No, give me that. You have the little one.
Welcome back to EvoChronicles, where we showcase the evolution of movies, video games, and characters. And in this video, we are going to see the evolution of Thor's most powerful weapons. Although Thor is best known for using Mjolnir as the main weapon, he has used many others during his time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So today, let's peek into the weapons and the strength they had, which when used just thrashed every opponent of Thor. Well, everyone knows how he used his iconic hammer Mjolnir as the main weapon to defeat every villain, but besides this, he had other weapons too in his armor. Starting with Mjolnir, Thor 2011. Whosoever holds this hammer, if he is worthy, shall possess the power of Thor. Odin. The words said by Odin made their way out for Thor. Mjolnir was the first weapon that he had used to fight his enemies. Do you know from where did Odin get Mjolnir? Mjolnir was a powerful enchanted war hammer forged by the dwarves for the Asgardian royal family, and was used by Odin before he passed it down to Hela and then Thor. The hammer was used exclusively by Thor as his primary weapon. Thor never in his entire life till that point had even considered that he'd get blessed with his father's gift to him. Thor Odinson, my heir, my firstborn, so long entrusted with the mighty hammer Mjolnir. Forged in the heart of a dying star, its power has no equal as a weapon to destroy.
Or as a tool to build. 'Tis a fit companion for a king.
Odin to Thor. He was worthy enough to receive the hammer from his father. Before his coronation to be the king of Asgard, Mjolnir was given to Thor as a way to help channel his powers. He showed off during his coronation. With his hammer, he protected the entirety of Asgard and thrashed every single problem that arose in front of him. But little did he, and we, know that soon that would be taken from him. The sequence of the series happened in this way. After the battle against the Frost Giants, destroying the fragile truce between them and the Asgardians, Odin punished Thor by stripping him of his godly powers.
You are unworthy of these realms, unworthy of your title! You're unworthy!
Odin exiled Thor to Earth as a mortal, accompanied by Mjolnir, now protected by an enchantment spoken by Odin, so that only a worthy person could wield its power. Thor sacrificed himself to the Destroyer to save the townsfolk.
So take mine and end this.
And that made him worthy of his power and his hammer, and both were restored to him. So after proving his ability and worth, Thor gets his hammer back. Avengers Age of Ultron 2015. No, don't get confused when I'm talking about this particular movie. The hammer was the same, and it was the same Thor who joined his hands with the Avengers to protect the world. But this movie had one of the famous scenes that the world knows. This especially made us realize how powerful Mjolnir is. Thor's mighty hammer Mjolnir has been lifted by several MCU characters to date, but far more characters have tried and failed to wield the hammer. In each case, the characters had established reasons for being classed as unworthy, including the God of Thunder himself, notoriously. Almost every single superhero was present there on that day, and one after the other, everybody tried to lift Thor's hammer, but failed drastically. That day, Captain America was the only person who could just move the hammer, and that led to the famous end of the Avengers franchise. Thor Ragnarok 2017. Before Ragnarok, Thor used his iconic hammer Mjolnir as the main weapon. But his third solo adventure gave him the chance to use many others, even if briefly. Losing your power and strength is one of the bizarre things that could ever happen. But what if, with that, you can even lose your sword, which protected not just you, but the entire universe? Well, you'd feel helpless, and guess that was somewhat the exact emotions running all around Thor. Thor was in a process of finding Odin. Before his death, Odin revealed to his sons that they had a sister named Hela, who would try to rule Asgard by force after his death. We all were expecting a weak character to emerge out of nowhere, as who can even think of challenging Thor when he has his hammer with him? When Hela arrived at their location, Thor threw Mjolnir at her, but she managed to block the attack and hold the hammer with her bare hand.
It's not possible.
Much to Thor's surprise, Hela destroyed Mjolnir. This was a shock not just for him, but for all the fans too. Now, from this point onwards, Odin's son didn't even have a weapon to fight for his people. But when the situation arrives, no matter where you are, you will always find something to fight with and for. Here it was, Doug's mace and shield for Thor. When Thor was sold as a gladiator to the Grandmaster and Sakaar, his first battle turned out to be against the Hulk. At this point, Mjolnir was long gone and Thor didn't have a weapon. So he took the mace and shield that belonged to Doug, who died after his battle, also against the Hulk. Thor didn't get to use them as he was too excited when he saw the Hulk in front of him.
Yes!
But he didn't recognize the God of Thunder and attacked, making him lose the mace and shield. You won't get into the arena without a plan B, and luckily, Thor had a plan B. He took out 2 retractable swords. Sadly, they weren't very resistant and were easily destroyed by the Hulk's Sakaran Warhammer, leaving Thor without a weapon once more in the same battle. Before, it was near impossible for anyone to even lift Thor's hammer, and here in the arena, he was standing without any sword. This is how time changes, and you ask for your patience to discover your real powers. And then, the Gungnir arrived. Gungnir was a powerful spear made of Uru, a godly metal forged in Nidavellir, also used in the creation of Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, used by the rulers of Asgard, and which served as a symbol of Asgardian kingship. Odin used it in the war against the Frost Giants, and years later, Loki, when taking the throne of Asgard after Odin fell into Odin's sleep and Thor was banished to Earth, took Gungnir to kill Loki. Thor took it when Hela arrived to take the throne of Asgard and briefly used it in a duel against her. The spear had a very powerful form of energy, granting the wielder the ability to project powerful and continuous energy blasts. Gungnir represents power and authority, and as it was made from godly metals, it carried many enchantments. But still, to this point, he was deprived of his hammer. Avengers Infinity War 2018. To this point, I don't think that any superhero had a sword that could even stand on the contender list against Thor's hammer. But here, a weapon arises, and who else would have brought that? Without Mjolnir and any other, the God of Thunder was in need of one so he could fight against Thanos. Along with Groot and Rocket Raccoon, he traveled to Nidavellir in hopes of getting a new weapon. There, he learned what happened to the dwarves, who were forced to build the Infinity Gauntlet for Thanos, and were later destroyed by the Mad Titan, except for King Eitri, who was left with metal-covered hands so he couldn't build anything else. And Eitri turned out as a blessing for him, as Eitri then decided to forge Stormbreaker for Thor, which was possible with the help of Rocket and Groot. Stormbreaker is nigh indestructible, to the point where it was able to withstand an energy blast powered by the 6 Infinity Stones. The axe can focus and enhance Thor's powers, and can also channel dimensional energy. Every Avenger fan can never forget the scene in which the Stormbreaker was made, and the way Thor arrived in Wakanda to fight against Thanos' army. Stormbreaker is considered the strongest weapon in Asgard's history. This is how time changes. In a moment, Odin's son is equipped with nothing to fight against the mighty villains, but the next moment, he has the strongest weapon in Asgard's history. Avengers Endgame 2019. And finally, he got his hammer back. Wait, what? But it was destroyed, wasn't it? Well, then how did Thor get his hammer back? I'll explain it to you. Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, was famously destroyed in the first act of 2017's Thor Ragnarok by Cate Blanchett's Hela, leading to the God of Thunder forging a new weapon known as Stormbreaker in Avengers Infinity War. Mjolnir was brought back in Avengers Endgame, thanks to some wonky time travel mechanics. Thor travels back in time in search of the Infinity Stones, and there, he takes his hammer back to fight against the mighty Thanos. Such a time travel approach was used in Avengers Endgame, when a past version of Mjolnir was plucked out of the past. In the final battle, when Thor was down and almost dusted by the hands of Thanos, there comes Captain America, who lifts up the hammer, Mjolnir, and attacks Thanos. That was the exact moment when Thor whispers, "I knew it."
I knew it.
But what was more interesting was that Steve returned the hammer to Asgard at the exact moment when Thor took it earlier in the film. In that case, the hammer was never used, but was used to fight against Thanos. Thor's new movie, Thor: Love and Thunder, is all set to get its release in 2022. So it'll be interesting to see how he uses Stormbreaker in this movie, or if he'll use the hammer, Mjolnir. What do you think? What'll be the weapon that he will use? Guess it. And we'll be back next time with some other interesting character. Till then, stay connected, and to get connected, make sure you subscribe to our channel, EvoChronicles.